Our next student speaker is Vaughn Martin. Vaughn is a 2013 graduate from our Associate in Science and Nursing program. He is well known to the Goodwin community, where he's regularly seen working in the Hoffman Family Library. He served as president of the Goodwin Nursing Association, for which he received the Nursing Department Service Award. Vaughn is also the recipient of this year's President's Award, given to the student who most exemplifies exceptional leadership, scholarship, and service to the Goodwin College community. Always ready, with a great smile and kind word, I present Vaughn Martin.
Good evening, President Scheinberg, honored guests, friends, family, and again to my graduates. And if anyone, I can't see my wife, but someone pointed her out, I want to say, honey, I wouldn't have made it if you wasn't. There you are. I love you, dear. Before I go on, I want to pose a question to you all. May I be candid with you? All right. First, I never thought I'd make it this far. My father, he's a wise guy, he's a wise man, and he told me quite a few things. First thing he ever told me, boy, there's a difference from being smart and a smart aleck. Smart, you have a degree and credentials. Smart aleck, you're the guy that makes fun of people with degrees and credentials. When I was in high school, I didn't think college was for me. My parents' finances, it wasn't in the books. It wasn't going to happen. My high school grades, less to be deserved. Believe it or not, my high school girlfriend had dumped me. You can see, but I actually married her and I pointed her out earlier. She's back there. But after these instances in my life, there was only one thing, one rational decision that a melodramatic 18-year-old could do. I joined the Marine Corps. It was a wonderful enlistment. I first started off being a Pentagon driver. I got a chance to live in Japan. I got deployed on the USS Essex, and I got to visit all these different countries. I've been to South Korea, the Philippines, East Timor, Hong Kong, Australia. To say the least, I've been around the world. After I left the Corps, I wanted to be average Joe again. I went home, I got a job in a small manufacturing company, and second thing my father always told me, boy, man's gotta work. You go to work every day, you come home every day, and as long as you're willing to work, there will be work out there for you. My dad was right again. He's two for two so far. I worked third shift. It was hard work, but it was great, and it was plentiful hours. I had the job that I wanted to do. I bought a home. I got married. Then I got laid off. 9 months after I got married, 2 months after closing on my house, and 1 month after taking in my mother and kid sister. I became a weekly visitor at the Department of Labor, attending workshops with the facility and hoped that my presence would give me an edge over other candidates, desperately seeking those bulletin boards, looking for some kind of work, any kind of work. Believe it or not, I probably burn trees faster than a Texas wildfire, trying to send out resumes all over the place for any kind of job. Always getting the same answer. Disappointing silence. Most of you know me as a kind of a nerd, and I couldn't leave you today without getting some kind of reference to some kind of sci-fi. So I'm going to tell you my descent into the dark side. When I got laid off, I was stuck at home. I cleaned the house. I attempted to cook. My poor wife. I'm the one of the few individuals that can burn water. But after seeing my family go off to work, I was stuck in the house. I first became worried that I couldn't keep the bills going. I was afraid that my wife wouldn't look at me as a man. I was jealous because my family and friends were able to hold a job and I couldn't. Here I am, a former Marine who worked desperately for this country, and for some reason, I wasn't qualified to make French fries. Worst of all, I started to hate myself. I drank a lot that year. After 3 good months of kicking myself in the tail, I finally managed to land a temporary job as a box kicker at some big retail warehouse in Manchester. Some individual came up to me, he sees my Marine Corps t-shirt, he goes, "Hey, Devil Dog, why aren't you in school? Why are you here killing yourself?" Because I was working 2 p.m. to 1 a.m., 6 days a week, barely making ends meet. It's like that good joke from Chris Rock. Does anyone work 2 jobs just to be broke? That was me. I told this guy my story and he said, "Haven't you heard of the Montgomery GI Bill? Have you heard of this new thing that's coming out called the Post 9/11 Fund? It's tethered for Marines, veterans as myself." I didn't know anything about it. I had to go home and look it up. I went home and I did my research and I realized that they were offering way more than just the old school $50,000 Montgomery GI Bill. That the Post 9/11 Fund covered your whole tuition and then gave you a basic allowance of housing to help supplement the bills. I told my wife about this, and with her permission, she let me come back to school. Now, at first, I didn't know where to look. I started Googling schools in Connecticut. I made appointments with several colleges. Believe it or not, it's been 3.5 years, and there's one college that still has not returned my phone call. It wasn't until I was driving in my car, and I actually heard an ad about Goodwin College, showcase on Hot 93.7. Now, when I was in high school, this was the Data Institute, and where we're standing were a bunch of drums hanging out by the river, so I never knew anything about Goodwin College at the time. But I decided to Google them, and I looked them up, and I came to the nursing seminar. They were welcoming. I sat down, I heard the whole spiel, and I also sat down with their financial aid individual. And he told me not just about the Post 9/11 Fund, but he told me about the Yellow Ribbon Program. The Yellow Ribbon Program helps bridge the gap between finances for the school and what the student still owns. What this school did for me was bridge that gap. I graduate debt-free today. No one ever decided to tell me about these things. I threw myself into school here. I became immersed. I worked in a Hoffman family library. I was always in the class, laughing, smiling, cracking a couple of jokes. But as I was coming here, I realized I started to get tunnel vision, as some of us might have. I was so focused on being a nurse, I was forgetting about the basics. I was forgetting about English. I was forgetting about math. There was history. One day, I was in my humanities class, and a lot of my classmates, we all had to take humanities just as part of the Gen Ed for the Associates in Nursing. Now, I wasn't in the program yet, but there was one student, she was there, she was already in the program. She was ready to graduate, and she started complaining. And she sat there and said, "Why do I need humanities?" Being able to tell the difference between an impressionistic painting and a classical painting does nothing with being a nurse. My instructor, Professor Paul LaRocca, I don't know where you are. This man with his quick wit, he got up and said, "You may be right, But tell me this, when your patient no longer wants to talk about medication or their ailments, what are you going to talk about? I hope that got to most of you. But it was at that point I realized it was important for me not just to be a registered nurse, but to become a scholar who just happened to be a registered nurse. My story with Professor LaRocca reminded me back when I was still in the Corps. My first officer in charge was First Lieutenant Bars. She was a Marines Marine. She demonstrated the skills of an effective leader. When we went out for desert training exercises, she helped things run smoothly. She'd give you those counsel like, Private Martin, when you go to bed at the rack, you turn your boots upside down so scorpions don't crawl on them. When we went out for our formation runs, she was ahead of the pack because only a leader can lead from the front. She outshot everyone on the rifle range. She offers you counsel to any Marine who needed it. She made you pay if you screwed up. I have a page 11 to prove it. A few of you out here get that joke. One thing I admired about her was her diplomacy in inter-office politics. At the end of her commission, I finally got the bravery to go up to her and go, "Ma'am, where did you go to college?" You would think what I just described her, was it a degree in national security affairs from the Naval War College? Was it a political science degree from the U.S. Naval Academy in Annapolis? She replied, she had an English major from the Mississippi State. What I'm trying to get at to each and every one of you, you cannot let your degree find you. You have to define your degree. To my human services graduates, where are you? I want to let you know you are not just a human services graduate. You might be a counselor that might make a difference in a child's life in need. To my business graduates, where are you? You are not just business graduates. You one day will be an entrepreneur who will start a business and give work to people in our communities who are desperate for work. To my environmental studies, where are you? You're not just an environmental studies graduate. You are an environmental activist ensuring the safety of our children's drinking water. My respiratory therapist, where are you? You are not just respiratory therapists. You suction those trachs when the nursing department starts dry heaving. To my general studies, I know there's a three of you. Where are you at? You are not just a general studies graduate. One day, one of you might be that Marine Corps officer that gets that smart aleck private in line. To my nurses, you are not just nurses, you're smart alecks with degrees. And while I have you up here, all you nurses, your hands in the air, you remember that pledge that Jan made us do in orientation? I'm not going to repeat it, but you remember it. I got them on tape. Jan got it, right? In closing, I'd like to leave you with a few smart words. Anyone can do something, but someone can be anything. Thank you.